and welcome to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. I got to turn this little camera sideways, get a little bit more lined up. Hope you're doing well. My co host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we're going to be covering pretty much gaming industry related news. We're going to start off with Take Two, then we're going to talk about Juicy Button, an ex Riot dev called Believer. Is that correct? Believer, I believe the name
Yeah,
is, Kyle?
I think that's correct.
Yeah. And then Silent Hill 2 remake, and of course, PlayStation State of Play. So tune in for that. But before we get started, Kyle, how you been, man? What's been good? How you doing?
I've been good, man. I've been chilling. I got back on a game that I've been talking about. Oh, I need to get back to for months. And that is Alan Wake 2. That is correct. Yes.
It's about time.
Claps.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time I got back to it. But yeah, I sunk about another 4 hours in this week. So
Ooh.
been enjoying that. And yeah, the story moving along. It's like it's such a kind of just a weird. It's a weird game, but I like it. It's like a weird game in a good way. So I'm excited to kind of continue on and see how the story unravels. But it's weird. It's like when I was playing, there was a section where I died and I forgot to save and lost like 30 minutes of gameplay around there. That kind of sucked, but I kind of gained my way back. And throughout like all that time, I was like, I was finding it kind of hard to keep up with the story a little bit. I was like, what's going on here? And then like as soon as I thought that, like it started another chapter, and within that it was kind of like a section where the characters essentially recapped what was just told, kind of thing. And I feel like they did that on purpose because there was a lot going on in kind of this like, few hour span. And for them to just sit down and be like, all right, this is what was essentially discussed in like a a reduced form. So I feel like it was intentional, but it was perfect because I was literally just thinking like I'm gonna have to like read up on what I'm like what all this stuff means, because I feel like there's just a lot going on. So it was kind of funny how that worked out for me anyway. So yeah, it was cool. Cool overall story. Switch between characters, kind of two different paths almost, but everything sort of intertwined. So I'm only like I'm like I think almost 6 hours in at this point total. So about a third of the way in roughly. So
Okay.
still at the beginning, but but it's been enjoyable. I'm excited to jump back in some more this week. So yeah, I've been playing that as a main game. Outside of that, not too much. Been watching some TV. One of my roommates, trying to get through. I think I mentioned last week we were watching House MD, that medical show. So we're like almost done with that, and we should be finishing out this week. So it's been taking up a lot of my time because like I've been like so fixated on that. I feel like for the most part, I've been doing other stuff as well, but yeah, it's like I want to get through that. So yeah, but yeah, outside of that, not too much else. I don't know. Like if you grind Rocket League for minimum 4 hours.
No, I didn't. I got kind of excited. So I think, like, to recap, right? The last time we really discussed, I was working with a whole bunch of personal stuff and trying to get that off my plate, and now I have finally time to game again. And what I've decided to start gaming is, I mean, I'm not going to give all the details for what's happening because it hasn't been officially announced yet. But for the anniversary Halo 2 land that's been kind of rumored on Twitter, there's been a lot of people trying to come together and organize stuff. And I'm on the in of some of it, not all of it, of course. But there's enough that I know where I'm just like, okay, I need to start playing Halo 2 OG to get like prepared for this because it's going to absolutely be worth it. So the last like maybe 2-3 days, not last night because I was exhausted. I was sleeping on the couch during a movie, but yeah, what I ended up doing is just grinding Halo 2 and doing like best of 11 series with a bunch of guys. And they've been like close matches, a lot of fun, and I'm having a good time. And that's basically the main thing I've been gaming. Outside of gaming though, because I mean Halo 2 is the oldest game ever, it feels like. But Fallout. So Fallout the TV series, I finally finished it.
Hey,
I
okay.
thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was like really,
Yeah.
really good, and I'm excited for, like, they had a lot of teasers. I like all the different arcs that are going on. It seemed like the characters are well written, and there's a lot of different like archetypes going on, and like their motives are interesting, and I want to see how they play out. Now there were a couple of times where I was just like, "Man, this character's annoying the hell out of me." But it's like by the end of the season, I'm like, "Okay, I kinda see where they could go with this and make it more bearable." Or maybe the intention was to make them annoying so that later on the character development is like, "Oh yeah, they're actually kinda cool," you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you finished it already, haven't you? Because
Oh,
'Cause it's
yeah.
been out for months, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I finished it probably, like, a week or 2 after it was out. But yeah, it was really good. I've liked most of the characters. I think, it's kind of like for me, I mean, being such a fan of the games, there's things in it that, might be kind of may not make sense to, like, the average viewer or something like that who hasn't played the games. But, I mean, for the most part, I think it's still, like, even if you haven't played the games, it's still a great show and a kind of a great introduction, I think, to the world. So, yeah, it's definitely a good show. I'm excited for the next season, especially with how it was sort of with all the stuff that was teased at the end, like you were saying. I
Yes,
think
that's what I mean,
it's
yeah.
like set up pretty well for the next season. And the fact that it's interwoven with the games is like just makes it all that more interesting to me because
Of course.
like everything's intertwined. So it makes me even more curious to see what they're gonna do with the next season. So and how like that'll be affected game wise because no, it could be a while before we see another mainline Fallout entry in the video game aspect of things.
Yeah.
So
I think it's definitely gonna be a while. I do think something that's worth mentioning is from a TV perspective, I think you could watch Fallout and not know a single bit about the video game at all. Like, they did a really good job explaining the universe and the lore. Now, there are some things where you're just like, "Okay, I don't understand why he is a ghoul," or whatever that is
yeah,
kinda thing.
yeah,
So, you might need, like, background and research, but, like, 5 seconds of Google will tell you,
yeah,
like, how that happened. I think this is really good just for the gaming industry because we need more adaptations that aren't like Halo. You
that are
know,
good.
like
Yeah,
yeah, that are actually good. Like Last of Us was really good. We got Fallout that's pretty good. I think there's just a wealth of video games that have fantastic stories, really well written, and I could see this just becoming a trend in the future. And I think it's necessary because one, you got like even the Mario movie is pretty good, by the way. Side note. Um, you got like in terms of Hollywood stories and TV shows, everything becomes more and more repetitive. I just feel like they're recycling the same stuff. And when it comes to gaming, it's like that's an untapped resource from their perspective. But from a gamer's perspective, it's like I played these games before, but I would very much like to just watch it play out. And I want it to be authentic to the game, you know?
right. Yeah,
So I think I would still be interested in that to check it out. And I think the way Fallout's doing it is great because it's going to introduce people to video games that
yeah,
might otherwise have never been interested. Like I told you, my 60-plus-year-old parents were watching Last of Us and they had no idea it was a video game initially.
yeah.
And they're
It's
like, "Oh,
good.
have you played this
It's
game? We
good.
just found out." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
let's get
yeah.
into it."
It's great. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think the thing about the Fallout series too is it's like they used a lot of the sounds from the games in the show as well. So
yes.
like when you're using stem packs, it's literally the exact same sound, and so stuff like
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool for people that have played the games. But also, it's like people that watch the show and then haven't played the games, and they go to play and they're like, "Oh, I remember that sound," kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it's like
So
the recall of your memory when you hear sounds.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's total nostalgia. It's pretty cool.
yeah. It's pretty sick, dude.
Yes, sir. Well, how about we go ahead and jump into our first article? I
I
guess
think
something
we
that's pretty
should.
sick when it comes to Take Two.
Yeah. Yeah. So this section article, gamesindustry.biz. First article of the week. It is about Take-Two reportedly planning to close and or sell Private Division. Sources claim publisher told staff in April that it will no longer support indie-focused label Private Division. Take-Two is planning to close or potentially sell its indie-focused publishing label Private Division. It's coming from James Batchelor. Said that's according to the IGN report, which cites sources familiar with the matter who say almost all Private Division staff have been laid off. Take-Two has declined to comment. Management reportedly told employees in April that Take-Two would no longer support publishing label with only a handful of staff left to handle remaining publishing deals. These include Moon Studios' No Rest for the Wicked, Widow Workshop's Tales of the Shire, and an unannounced title from Pokemon developer Game Freak. At least 2 other publishing deals are said to have been dropped. Bluebird team revealed last week it lost its deal with Private Division for an unannounced survival horror game, while IGN reports the other was with one more level, the developer behind Ghost Runner. Take-Two is said to be in discussions with potential buyers for Private Division, with an unnamed private equity firm showing interest. The publisher has also been looking into selling the Kerbal Space Program IP, potentially with Kerbal Space Program 2 developer Intercept Games included. All of this follows a series of reports that indicate Private Division is shrinking. Take-Two reportedly closed both the label's subsidiaries, Rollerdrome developer Roll7 and Intercept Games. CEO Strauss Zelnick later said neither studio has technically been closed, but a WARN notice indicates Intercept will be shut down this month, with staff confirming they've been widespread layoffs at the studio. Private Division changes follow Take-Two's announcement of laying off 5% of all staff as part of a third cost reduction program in just over a year. Private Division, Mike, could be a goner. Could be.
I mean, this is more of what we've seen, right? In terms
Yep.
of the industry, just total chaos.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's up for sale, everything's closing,
Yeah. Seemingly.
recalibrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what it seems like. It's interesting that it's kind of either they haven't like just closed it. They're like, we're gonna try and sell it. Which I think
Yeah.
there could maybe be a redeeming quality there, but it seems like there's already been people that have been laid off, so I don't know how that would work. If people would get their jobs back, or they just have to rehire. It's kind of like weird. They just haven't closed the door. I mean, I get it. There's certainly games that need to be published, and that's a huge, it's probably the main reason why they haven't fully closed it. It's because you have all these, you still have these games that are left to ship, so it's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. It it is kind of interesting how they mentioned the WARN. Remember I brought that up a couple of
Yeah,
weeks ago about how the
yeah,
WARN Act requires you to notify the federal government when you're going to make massive layoffs. So that's tough to deal with just in general. I think it's okay though for like from a standpoint of letting the staff know in April, which was a couple of months ago, that this would be coming. That helps in a way, gives them some time to try to find a new job, but it's tough, I would imagine, for developers in the industry because everybody's laying off right now.
yeah.
I wonder, the one thing we haven't really heard is there a hiring freeze? I don't think we've found anything that says there's a hiring freeze, but I
Don't
would
think
imagine
so.
it's got to be slowing down because why would you be hiring at the same time you're laying off?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I would think I would think not. I mean, we still hear like developers and stuff still hiring and starting new studios and everything. Um, so there's that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really weird. A lot of these, it's like hopefully some of these people could shift off these studios and go to other ones and balance out. But
Yeah,
it's just strange.
it's very strange.
Yeah.
And
Another article talks about the Bloober team. That's if I'm not mistaken, that's the team that's working on New Silent Hill, as well as other
yeah,
IP. And yeah, and I want to say I should have checked this beforehand, but I can't remember if Private Division was going to originally be responsible for publishing the Silent Hill 2 remake. Because if they were, that's kind of that'd be kind of awkward at this point. But it said yeah they were working with them but it says that they lost a deal with Private Division on an unannounced game, so I'm assuming probably Silent Hill 2. Maybe my memory doesn't serve me right there. That it is being published by someone else, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I remember Private Division. I another thing I should have checked beforehand is what they've actually published up until now, because there's been some games that I've played that it's like in the back of my mind I remember seeing Private Division. I feel like one of them might have been the Saints Row reboot, but I could be way off. But yeah, it's I don't know, interesting stuff.
well, let me let me help you out a little bit when it comes to Private Division. So they did Kerbal Space Program. These are the games that they published.
Yeah.
Kerbal Kerbal Space Program Enhanced Edition and Kerbal Space Program 2 that just came out last year. Hades is on this list, which pretty
Oh,
surprising.
Hades. Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking
The
of that.
Outer Worlds is actually on this.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Um,
That's probably what I'm
Roller
thinking.
Dome, Drome, yeah,
Yeah,
Roller
Roller
Drome. My
Drone.
bad. After Us, Salt Sea Chronicles. I mean, those are kind of smaller, but Penny's Big Breakaway was one of the big ones. I think that was more of a kid game. If yeah, it kind of was. was like an everybody game, family game. Tales of the Shire, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The one on here that's kind of interesting, more interesting than the others because it's on the TBA list, is No Rest for the Wicked, which is by Moon Studios.
Yeah.
And Moon Studios also did Ori and the Blind Forest and Will o' the Wisp.
Yeah.
And I remember that No Rest for the Wicked was along that same type of vein.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah,
yeah, it's
it seems like they're keeping some, like, at least a handful of staff to still work on like publishing at least that game.
I think so. Yeah,
yeah, so Moon Studios, like, they should still be fine in terms of publishing. But yeah, it must have been Outer Worlds I was thinking of, or it was Private Division that like really stood out to me when I was like looking into it, because yeah, that game did pretty well.
That game's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm actually really proud of that game because I introduced it. I introduced the Outer Wilds or the Outer Worlds. Outer Wild. I think that's also another game.
That's another game. I've heard it's really good, by the way. I haven't played
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But the Outer Worlds I introduced to one of my buddies that was like never really into that type of game,
Yeah.
and he played it all the time. Like we lived together, and I was just like, you should download this, man. I feel like this might be up your alley of like your taste and what you might like. He downloaded it, and he was playing it more than I did. Dude was putting in like he would do like 12-hour shifts, and then he'd come home and play for 6 straight hours to go to bed at like 3 a.m. He was like fully hooked.
Yeah, it's fun,
crazy.
Yeah, in terms of RPG,
Yeah.
it's well done. I like a lot of the
yeah.
characters in it. I think
It is a very well done game.
it makes me that's what
Agreed.
makes me excited for Avowed, and I want Avowed to come out this year. That'd be pretty
Yes.
sick. I'm excited to.
Yeah,
I'm hoping in a week, Mike, maybe even next
Yes,
week,
sir.
we could be talking about a release date for that. That'd be pretty dope. But we'll
I
see.
think we will. I definitely think we will.
Yeah.
So
We'll have to get into little predictions probably at some point towards the end of the episode of what we'll think, since that's coming out this week. Since we got all the Summer Games Fest stuff this weekend. So
I like that idea. I mean, one of those articles I saw was like what not to expect.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, and I'll obviously discuss kind of what, because I read into some of that too, of like what to expect. So we'll discuss that, I guess, towards the end. But yeah, there's definitely expectations have been set for this Game Awards have been set for the Summer Games Fest stuff. So, but
sure.
let's talk about a new studio, Mike.
Yeah, so this is always fun to talk about. Anytime a new studio comes on the block, it's worth mentioning. Although, like, maybe the games aren't going to be coming out anytime soon. Still just something to be excited about in this entire news feed of layoffs that's been happening the last 7 months has been brutal. But how about we get into this? So this one's coming from Game Industry Biz, same publication that we just covered earlier. But this one's coming from Sophie McAvoy. And the title of the article is New Studio Juicy Button raises 3 million in seed funding round. Cyprus based. So Cyprus is the island just in the Mediterranean, is it not? Pretty sure.
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Oh, it's technically a
done my
country in the
research.
Middle East, but it is just next to Lebanon.
I see.
It is in the Mediterranean, so I wasn't wrong. South of Turkey. Anyway, Cyprus-based developer will use investment to support its upcoming title. All right, this one's kind of short and sweet. Let's just get into it. So, mobile studio Juicy Button has raised 3 million in a seed funding round led by the Games Fund. The Cyprus-based developer will use the investment to support development of its untitled 4X strategy game. Other participants in the funding round included one of the studio's co-founders, Anton Sinelnikov.
Snelnikov.
Sounds right.
Sounds like a Canes hockey player. That sounds like
It sounds like a hockey player for sure. As an angel investor. So Juicy Button was co-founded by Alexander Trukavchuk.
Kravchuk. That's probably
No
way
idea.
off. No idea. Yeah.
Creator of an MMO strategy titled Total Battle, and Anton Sinelnikov, Cubic Games co-founder and game design director, and one more co-founder was Alexander
Zaitsev.
Zaitsev.
Yeah, like Zaitsev.
Panoramic Games co-founder. So this is a quote from Kruvich. Oh man, I wish I was like Eastern European so I could understand these names easier. So his quote said, "Each of us has been in the games industry for decades and built successful companies. We united to allow our collective expertise and resources and poured into building the best 4X strategy game on the market." Nice. So, co-founder and Games Fund general partner Ilya Karpinskiv, I don't know, added, in quotes, Alexander, Anton, and Alexander are AAA founders and gurus in their domains with proven track records and top grossing games under their belts. We cannot imagine a better founding team for such an ambitious goal. By the way, do you know what a 4X strategy game is?
Well, I was actually gonna ask you to look it up while I predicted, because my prediction here is that a 4X strategy game is the speed at which the game is played. So it's like a quicker strategy game than other, like your typical strategy game. Could be way off, but that's my prediction. I have
You
no
are
idea.
off.
Oh, dang it.
So, yeah. So this is coming from a 1993 quote. So a 4X real-time strategy game or real strategy game is a subgenre of strategy video games, of course. The
Uh,
4X stands for four different words: explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So now you
oh,
know. And it was described as the gameplay for Master of Orion in 1993. And 4X games usually feature complex simulators of scientific research, economics, diplomacy, and social dynamics. I'm curious which is the most popular.
so
What
what
would
you're
you
telling me
think?
is it's a
Civilization,
civilization.
probably.
Yeah, you're
I
telling
was
me
about to say,
it's probably akin to civilization. Um,
I
yeah, either
find
that
this
or
this is a
humankind's another
very
thing.
interesting one. They have games on here that I wouldn't even think would be considered a 4X.
Okay,
So,
okay,
Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 from 2004 and 5. Uh,
interesting.
there's also Lord of the Rings: The Battle of Middle Earth 2. That's a like an RTS game. I mean, that could yeah, that makes sense. You build up your forces like a strategy game. You
Yeah,
you like deal with your economy and then you go battle other people. So yeah, I mean, I guess I get that. I don't
yeah,
know
that's
how
a
that
bit.
works with Battlefront 1 and 2 though. That's more of a
Yeah,
FPS
I don't know.
than anything. But you
Interesting.
also have like a first person shooter that involves you destroying an enemy ship when you're doing space battle. So I guess that works. I don't know. I might be talking about a game that's 20 years old and not very many people know what I'm talking about. Because I don't even think you played the original Battlefront games.
No, Battlefront 2, yeah, but not one. Yeah,
Oh
look,
yeah,
this is the thing. Civilization, Humankind is another one. It was a new
yeah,
strategy game
that's
that was
true.
unveiled at the Xbox Dev Showcase earlier this year. The name is leaving my
Millennia,
mind, but yeah, it might have been it.
Millennia.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well,
I think.
it
Is that it?
it actually just came out March 27th. I don't know
Ah,
if the reviews are any good though.
maybe
5 out of 10 on IGN and
ooh.
67% on Metacritic.
Ooh. Yeah, it might have been.
I don't
I'm
know.
curious
RTS
if it's
gets
like. I'm curious if that's the right game, but yeah, that's. I don't know. It's very. It's very interesting. Like it's so funny. My buddy and I played Civilization Revolution. We got like we were able to get to work on PC and like we played it a couple weeks back. Um, and it's like it's a fun game, but it's a way more fast paced Civilization essentially, and it's like console
yeah
based, so you really couldn't do a whole lot as compared to like a Civilization. Um, and that was a lot of fun, but it's yeah, like games like that are fun. I think someday I want to try out like Civilization on PC, like download like Civ 6 because I have it on Epic
Ha-
Games, I think.
have you never
But
played any of them?
like the traditional games, I don't think so,
Yeah.
or at least I may have tried, but I only played for like 30 minutes and didn't continue. But
Well, it's a really good game. I think you need to be able to commit yourself to at least an hour of gameplay, though. I
yeah,
think that's the way to do it. Otherwise, it's
yeah,
like you're not really going to be able to enjoy it. You need to do research, and
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. This is
My favorite thing to do with RTS is actually watch the YouTubers that are super into it,
yeah,
and they do like tutorials, and they're like an hour long explaining how the game's played. I love it.
yeah.
I don't even play games like that anymore, really. What you doing with your
The
phone?
game I was thinking of, I think it's Aura
Yes.
History Untold. I think.
Aura?
I think it's
ARA? Or
ARA. Yeah, I think that was the game I was thinking of that
History
was unveiled on
Untold.
Xboxes. That thing that was like a 4X,
Hmm.
and because that was not coming out
Oh,
until
this
fall, I
game. Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. This was yeah, this recently got dropped. Like how long ago was this?
This was. Let me see.
I'm going to YouTube. That's how I know. Go to the official site.
Aura
So
History
9 months
Untold.
ago, it was the Untold gameplay trailer.
Yeah, this is supposed to come out in fall this year, I think.
Yeah, I remember seeing this, and I actually saw people, what I just said earlier about how I like watching
Um,
people play RTS and, like, I guess this 4X strategy.
um,
I didn't even know that was a subgenre, to be honest. This 4X, strategy subgenre game. This, uh, I remember watching somebody play the beta for this and it looked like a lot of fun. I don't know, for me, this isn't really my pace of game.
yeah.
Just with all the stuff that I have going on, I rather plug into an FPS, have myself a nice little whiskey, and then talk a lot of trash to a bunch of people that I'm hopefully never see in person.
It's fair, dude. Telling you. That's some people they just like the quick game, dude. They don't want to dedicate all that time. Um,
Yeah.
that's yeah, and I mean, that's part of it too for me, I think. It's like certainly if I'm playing a game like that, I'm either watching videos or a show or listening to a podcast. Like I ain't doing just that. It's 'cause
Oh, yeah.
you gotta be doing something else. But but I don't
I
know.
gotta
I've never tried it. I kind of hope it's something like you could just kind of throw on in the background and play while you're doing something else, kind of thing. Maybe kind of
Oh, it definitely is.
yeah
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% one of those types of games where you can just like, the early stages of strategy games take a while to build up.
yeah
It's like I don't know, it's kinda like there's an early game and then there's the mainline game that you wanna get to.
yeah like the meat of it.
Yeah, the meat of it. And it takes a bit to, like, build up your forces, build up your civilization. Once you're there, you're like, "Alright, I'm good now. I got an empire, like, I need more land."
Yeah,
Then you start
and then late game goes nuts.
betraying. Yeah, the late game goes nuts. You just start betraying your allies.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh man, 4X. Maybe we gotta check out more 4X, dude.
I think we do. We gotta break into that genre.
Yeah,
You know what else? You know what else has to happen? A new dev needs to come out.
new dev out here
Yes,
releasing
sir.
open source tools. Let's talk about this. So X Riot devs Believer seeks a better way to develop video games with open source tool Friendshipper. CTO Landon McDowell tells us why the new studio is sharing some of the technology behind its debut game. It's coming again from James Batchelor over at gamesindustry.biz. We're 3 for 3 right now in games industry, so hey.
We really are. I mean, to be honest though, because there's state of play recently happened, and then we got Summer Games Fest coming out next week. There's not a whole lot of articles for us to really discuss,
Yeah. And
other
hey,
than everybody's hyping up what's coming next.
yeah. I mean, hey, they're out here cracking the code, dude. Love
They really are.
gamesindustry.biz. So, the Believer company has today released its internal development tool Friendshipper as an open source project. The studio was founded by veterans from Riot Games and is currently working on a next generation open world multiplayer game. Friendshipper is a development tool that the team has been using to improve how efficiently they build this game, such as faster implementations of bug fixes during playtests. CTO Landon McDowell tells GameIndustry.biz the aim of Friendshipper is to very quickly make changes to the code, quickly do builds, and then get changes in those builds out to ourselves as well as testers. As for the why the studio is sharing the technology with other developers, McDowell puts it down to one simple belief: there's just a better way to develop video games. We've not had the most fantastic experiences throughout our careers. And one of the reasons why we came here is that we knew that we wanted to invest, wanted to figure out a better way of doing this for a multitude of reasons, he explains. We want to be able to play test more frequently. We want to be able to do as best we can avoid crunch and some of the more problematic aspects of game development. And we believe that the game development process at its core is part of that. Since forming last year, the Believer company has grown to 65 people. Of those, McDowell says only 3, he said, quote, 3-ish, to be completely accurate, are dedicated to development of Friendshipper. Although the CTO notes that other members of the team do collaborate on this project at times. As such, he emphasizes that Friendshipper in its current state is just one potential solution to some of the problems game developers face. We don't have so much hubris that we think we have all the answers. We have ideas about things we want to do differently and things we want to improve, but there's an entire industry of game developers that have similar experiences and have other ideas about ways to do that. The best thing that we can do is to take a shot at what we think are fantastic development tools that are going to solve all sorts of problems in game development. But we want to quickly share that out and start building a community around these tools and ideas so that we can learn and grow from other people's experiences in the industry. He adds that Friendshipper is also designed to help make developer development easier because the act of making games should be a joyous one. We believe that players benefit from developers having a great experience developing games. So we want to share these tools and practices and build a community around them because we feel like players as a whole will benefit from the industry adopting development methodologies and practices. Our conversation with McDowell also touched on other ways in which developers can make games faster, better, and cheaper, something that GamesIndustry.biz will explore in more depth during a GI Sprint editorial special later this month in June. Expect more from Games Industry's chat with McDowell during their sprint. They previously spoke to Believer Company's CEO Michael Chow, and Chief Product Officer Stephen Snow shortly after the new studio secured $55 million in seed funding. And they had the original article linked in the article, which you can read in the description below. Crazy how that works. Set that up for you guys, Just click on it, read it. See the links, see the articles. This thing, Mike, what do you think about we're out here shipping crazy tools that could potentially streamline processes and make things easier for other developers? What do we think, Mike?
I think this is pretty good. This I'm gonna kind of go sidetracked in a way, but I want to relate it into the gaming industry. So we spoke earlier in group chat about C++ languages and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a meme video where the guy's like, it shows the girl and she's like, if you want to find a girl, it's like, boys, if you want to find a girl, and then he goes, yeah, no thanks. And then he just starts coding.
Programming it.
Yeah. And I was telling you, I was like, from my understanding with programming, I'm sure it's the same thing with game development because that's really programming. There are so many different languages that you could use, and there's not one individual best language to use. There's just different eras of a language to use. Is that correct? I mean, you're more into that than I am.
I mean, yeah. It depends on the engine. I think Unreal Engine, this may have changed. I know back in 3 and 4, I want to say it was majority C++. Could be mistaken. I want to say that was the main kind of language they used for the programming aspects of throughout the engine and whatnot. Yeah, but outside of that, I mean, if you're just working on a Roblox game, or you're working on okay, so Minecraft's all Java, right? So if you're trying to develop something in Minecraft, you're working with Java.
Isn't Java gone now? That's the thing.
I don't think it's as relevant as it once was.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's what I learned in college,
mostly,
but I don't know if it's as widely used as it once was. If anything, probably C# is king for most development stuff.
Noticed, yeah.
But C# is
Python too, and
a variation
whatever.
of Java, pretty much. It's very close to Java and the kind of the syntax and everything. But yeah, anyways, what I was saying is if you're building something like Roblox, or I think maybe even some of the Fortnite creative stuff, if you're doing games in that, it also uses it. But there's a programming language called Lua, and I think there's maybe even GTA mods, if I'm not mistaken, that are made in Lua.
Lula.
I think it's Lua. I think.
Oh, Lua.
Lua.
They said Lula.
Yeah. No, Lua.
Okay.
Yeah, Lua. That's a very commonly used language amongst a lot, like I was saying, Roblox, a lot of mods and stuff like that utilize Lua. Lua is, I haven't seen too much of it. From what I've seen, it's kind of a more simplistic programming language. It's not as it's not as difficult to pick up as something like a C++, which is, I mean, it's C++. It's not bad, but there's a lot. You have to really know what you're doing in order to not mess things up.
That's what I understood. But I think what I was trying to make is everybody has a different process of which they do things, and usually it's kind of behind closed doors on the way to do it the best.
Yeah, it's closed source, not really. Yeah.
I've seen the same exact thing with when I'm doing engineering stuff and I'm doing 3D modeling. There are very particular ways in which you can do things, and there's only a handful of softwares that can actually do it, and it's an industry standard to use those software, so it's insanely overpriced. And the products aren't necessarily finished. They just have the monopoly on the market that if you're a successful business at a certain size, you have to use those programs.
Yeah.
Because it's the most compatible. It's the industry standard. You have to do it that way.
Yep.
And even from there, it's I work mostly with HVAC, and they're trying to make more and more building automated systems integrated with smart clouds and tech and like cybersecurity and all this kind of stuff. So they're all like working together so that they function correctly. But if you have different manufacturers with different like software languages or like computations and brain power of the equipment, and if they don't communicate with each other effectively, nothing will work.
Yeah.
So there have been open source programs and open source languages that have basically taken all the different ones and they've like combined them together as like a Frankenstein's monster so that they all work properly. I think this reminds me what they're trying to do. The Believer company reminds me of what the HVAC industry is trying to do, where they're trying to create an open source like network so that they can all work together as a tool to make everybody's life easier and better and cheaper.
Yeah,
And I
maybe.
think it needs to happen because this is a really new industry.
Yeah.
Like anything cloud based is very new, and video games are incredibly new.
Yeah.
I could
I mean, it's
see
true.
more and more of these changes coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of the processes of like testing and the pipelines and all that, this could probably simplify that, make it, more uniform. I think,
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, from like a, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure the full details of it, but I don't know if it's like hosting. It's obviously like, I guess, hosting a build of some sort of kind of what's out
Yeah.
there. So it's,
It-
just letting kind of, making it more easier to, deal with that kind of, work and structure, which I think could be helpful. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting too that this company's just like, yeah, we have this tool that we're writing, but like we want to make it open source. We want to give it to anyone that makes games and use it in their own way, kind of thing. Use it for their apply to their use case. Um,
yeah, very true.
which I think is yeah, which I think is awesome. I mean, it's cool to see stuff like this and we're just doing different things, trying to help out. I mean, I think it's true too. I mean, obviously, what he was saying in the article, if you make development fun, it'll show in the end product kind of thing. If you're if you're
Yes.
having fun doing it, like it's going to carry through, which I think is true. So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
I think that's
very noble.
100%. It's the right mindset to have. I mean, we talk about it multiple times. You're creating art. You should enjoy it.
Yeah,
Have fun. So
it's true.
I think it's I think it's all a good idea. I'm curious to see how far it can go and how many people or companies are willing to adopt it and willing to let go of their own proprietary tools, you know?
Yeah, that's the real question is like whether or not people will adopt it. But
Yeah, if you don't adopt it, then it's dead on arrival, really.
yeah, it's kind of just like, well, at least it works for our studio. I guess they still have
Yeah,
something
that's true.
at the end of the day.
That's
So
very true.
it's like whatever. At the end of the day, I feel like it's kind of just no harm, no foul. I mean, if they only have a couple people working on it, they want to get it out, and they're willing to just be like, hey, here's what we use and it works well for us. But we think
Yeah.
that a lot of studios could benefit from it. There's kind of nothing but good that can come out of that. I feel like,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it makes sense.
yeah, I think it certainly does. But I gave you this one, Mike. It's about Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2. I know that's kind of a game I'm more interested in, but hey.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you giving me some of the games that you're more interested in because it gives you the opportunity to immediately react to the article.
It's true. It's very true.
So let me just read it for you. This is coming from Games Radar, and it is written by Jordan Gerblick. We've
Gerblick.
is it Gerblick? Ger or Ger?
Hmm.
I think if it was Ger, it would be a U. Gerblick.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, but I also don't want to offend him because I feel like that could be an easily made fun of name.
Sorry, Jordan.
Like his
You know
nickname
what I'm
growing up was Gerbil, but gerbils are pretty cool animals to be honest. Anyways, I digress, right? Let's get into the article. So Silent Hill 2 remake gets terrifying new gameplay trailer and October release date. This is pretty interesting. So Bloober team's Silent Hill 2 remake is only a few months away. I didn't know this, did you?
They announced it at the transmission they had that followed the state of play last week. So
Oh,
that's when they
okay.
announced
Okay,
the
so
date.
we're less than 5 days ago, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. All right, so the remake of Silent Hill 2, one of the scariest games of all time, is coming to PS5 on October 8th, just in time for fans to soak it all in during the spookiest time of year. Yeah, that's true. I thought they might wait until October 31st. I remember when horror games used to wait until that release date, stay in the theme, you know. But
Yeah.
hey, October is October.
It's true.
So still works. The news was announced alongside a terrifying new trailer showing a good mix of cinematic interactions between James Sunderland and Angela Orozco?
Roscoe, I
Yeah,
think.
Roscoe. Yeah, it's definitely Angela Roscoe. I struggle with last names, dude. I swear.
Roscoe.
As well as gameplay encounters with a variety of iconic monsters, including Abstract Daddy, Nurses, Lying Figure, and the Mandarin. The extended look at the remake's gameplay also gives us the chance to inspect James' redesign with a little more scrutiny. What seems to be a slight redesign following fan complaints recently drew some spicy reactions from the horrifying community. Screw it. Who has time for
Ambiguity. Ambiguity.
ambiguity?
Ambiguity, dude. Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. That's such a weird word. I don't know. All right. Silent Hill nerds think that the new game's design is not interesting
Side.
way to describe it over here, James.
Is that?
And after seeing him unflinchingly face down so many objectifyingly horrible creatures in this new trailer, I have to say I'm inclined to agree. Interesting. Okay. Have you actually seen the trailer yet, Kyle?
Not only did I see the trailer, Mike, I saw an extended gameplay of 11 or 12 minutes that happened after the trailer. Oh,
My goodness. I actually haven't seen it yet, to be honest.
yeah.
So this is
Pretty good.
news to me. I feel like a bad podcaster at this point. But I will say, the Silent Hill franchise, I guess, because now I guess it's a franchise. I mean, I've always thought it was terrifying. And I actually still have it downloaded on Steam, 10, 10 years ago, basically.
Dude.
Need to get on that.
Dude,
But
I love the first game, and the first game's on PS1. There's still moments in that game that like, and this is like PS1, like we're talking like what seems like 220p, like it's 16,
oh,
like 30, like
240p, 30
64
frames a
bit,
second,
like
but really it's 15.
it's
Just
like, and it's like it was one of those things. The game was so big, or it was like there was so much happening in the game. Part of the reason that there's a lot of fog in the game, which really helps the story and like progresses. I think it's a really good choice for just the atmosphere of the game as a whole, is adding this fog, and so you're like kind of like isolated and you don't really have like a sense of what's going on around you. Adds to the horror, but I think part of that, from what I read, was like the technical limitations of the PS1. They couldn't have a very large, like, what's the term? What am I thinking of? The I was gonna say depth of field. That is not at all it. It's like the view distance. They couldn't have a long view distance, so it's like they had to use
yeah.
fog to limit, to kind of keep the PS1 accommodations in play. But yeah, dude, like even that game being as old as it is, there's still moments in that game that like startle me and just creep me out and freak me out. It's like it still like holds up, and from a horror aspect to this day. So yeah, I gotta give it to him, dude. It's a solid horror game. It really is.
So, are you going to be pretty excited for Silent Hill 2 remake? Because some of the stuff that I'm seeing just on the internet, I mean, the internet's always the internet. People seem to be awfully upset about a remake coming along and changing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I've heard discourse about like certain characters like looking different, and just like they're like, why do they choose this? Why are they doing it this way? This is the thing. Silent Hill 2, I played probably like half the game. I haven't beaten the game, I'll be honest. At this point I'm just waiting for this remake. And I'll just play through kind of the new imagination, or kind of the new, I guess, storyline. A lot of the story will probably be the same, but anyways, point being, I've heard a lot of criticism about that. I'm personally excited about it. I think when I was watching some of the gameplay, the atmosphere, they nailed it, I think. Kind of just the how like spooky it is, and kind of just that like I can tell it's that universe. I think the only complaint I had when I was first watching it is like you see the main character James kind of running around, and like the animations at certain aspects just look so like weird and stiff, and it's just like maybe they'll clean that up before release, but it's like just seeing some of the stuff, it kind of pulled me out for a second of like, why is he running like that? Like, why are his arms doing that? Like it just seemed like kind of stiff. So I mean that was some things I noticed. Like the cutscenes and everything though, like I think graphically, we obviously won't know until it comes out, but at least just from watching that trailer and everything, like the graphics just look so good. It's like you could tell it's a remake, and just everything about it you could tell is just kind of like a modern game. So I'm excited to kind of see the setting, this like visit the Silent Hill setting and kind of visit the town and sort of a new generation kind of thing. I think it'll be exciting. Um, but like I said, I don't have heavy ties to the original games that much. I've played one, I played through one, and I played about halfway through two. And I really enjoy those games. But for me, it's like I didn't like grow up. Didn't grow up with them or anything. So it's kind of like, there's gonna be changes and stuff like that. I'm not as upset about that kind of stuff. But like,
Yeah.
then again, I don't know, for remakes and stuff like that. I mean, again, one, I'm just not as connected to this franchise as a whole. But two, it's like also like I like to give kind of developers the benefit of the doubt if they're making certain changes, because like even though you may not initially agree with it, like when you actually play the game, those kind of you may start to realize like, oh, okay, this is why they made that change, or like this actually does make more sense after you actually like have time with it. So I don't know. I like to kind of go in. And then again, I'm just, I'm an optimistic person about a lot of things, especially in, games and video games in general. So maybe I'm just overly optimistic. But I think for me, I'm not as concerned at the moment. It's one of those things. I think for me, I'm gonna wait and see how the reviews are and everything, especially on release. If it's like super buggy or anything like that, I'm gonna wait. But if it's not, I think I don't know. I think I might, within the first day or two, I might actually pick it up. It's one of those things. It's not. It's it's PlayStation title first. It's not on like a subscription service or anything. To my knowledge, it's like you're just paying $70, which I have no problem with paying if the game is good. So it's one of those things I'll have to see kind of how it holds up. But I mean, if it's good to go and things are good there, I'm all in. I will say from what I saw, they're doing a like a pre-purchase pre-order incentive where you get the game 48 hours early. For a game like this, I mean, I don't know if I'm an end of trying to get it 48 hours early, because I think it's coming out on a Tuesday. It's like you get the game on a Sunday, and so it's like, okay, I get like one day of no work where I can play, I guess. But I don't know. It's like I don't see too much of a benefit in that. I'm probably just gonna wait for release day if I do end up getting it. But I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. And like one more thing before I hand it over.
Yeah.
When they originally showed this game, it was like, this is 2022. They originally showed it into 2022. They were showing off the game and they were like, yeah, it's going to be. They originally announced it as a timed exclusive on PS5. So it's like you can only get it on PS5. It'll come out on PC a year after it comes out on PS5. When I'm looking at this now, it's coming day and date on PC and PS5. So they got rid of that.
What changed? Yeah.
It makes me wonder like kind of what changed. But like now it's just like, wait a minute. Okay, I guess. I mean, I'm grateful because I could just get it on PC. But it's like, it was just so weird. It was like they kind of announced it as that. They weren't like super vocal about it. I think it was like some subtext in the original announcement, like, oh, by the way, this is timed exclusive. But now it's just like, no, might as well just, drop it on everything. So, all right.
I mean, it's better for everybody, it seems, that wants to play it.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of outrage right now, apparently, on just the YouTube comment section. And the follow-up video to this, I mean, maybe it's because I watch a lot of Asmongold, but it's him reacting and saying the Silent Hill 2 remake problem, and it's just a bunch of people upset about modern, like making a modernized game or something like that.
Yeah. Which
I don't even understand.
There's a chance it could. I mean, there's a chance it could be, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I think.
Yeah.
I love remakes for the most part. I think like the best example of recent memory is the Resident Evil remakes. Like when they remade 2.
Yes.
2 was great.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They remade 3. It was a miss, but only because they just remade like a portion of it, and like they cut out, I think, most of the original game, and it just was really short and just not like, it was good, but it just wasn't. There wasn't much there. And then 4 was like, I mean, come on, dude. I played the original 4 like multiple times when the remake came out, and I played through it again. It was great, and everyone agreed. It was it was getting 10 out of 10s again because it was like so good, and like this, it paid homage to the original well and made some improvements in a modern day setting. That's what a remake should be. And so I don't know. There's a chance that this could completely fall flat. I hope not, but it seems to be it's kind of definitely polarizing right now.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it might be polarizing is there's a follow-up link on this article where Jordan basically plugs the list of best horror games ever made by Games Radar, and they actually have, as number 5, they have the original Resident Evil 2. or not Resident Evil, sorry, Silent Hill 2. Number 1, I know you're gonna ask, is gonna be Resident Evil 7. They consider the best horror game of all time. Now,
Interesting. Okay.
let me double check to see when this article was released, so we at least have a timetable. So, actually, this month, it was 3 months ago they came out with this.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so, the point I'm trying to make is if the original Silent Hill 2 is a top 6 all-time best horror game, whenever you make a remake to that level of success or of that level of success, you're gonna get a lot of scrutiny because,
Yep.
I mean, dude, people like to remember the past better than it might actually be. That's like a biological evolutionary trait. Like, old people remember the past being better than it is presently.
Yep. It's true.
So, that's just what happens. And maybe people feel that way towards Silent Hill and they don't want it to be touched, which is fine. I get it.
Yeah.
I was mad as hell when they did a Halo 2 anniversary, because it wasn't as good as the original. None
Yeah.
of the games are.
Yeah.
And it happens, but
Yeah.
got to be willing to take a chance and like really try. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like, don't let the opinions of others, of their outrage, try to dictate your experience before we're experiencing
Yeah.
something, you know?
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, no, I mean I agree. Too. I think with the Halo 2 thing too, it's very interesting because like especially when I hear you talk about the original Halo 2 game and just all the nuance in that and what makes that game so good. And then like it's no surprise to me that the remake just wasn't as good because it's like you're taking a game that has all this like there's so many kind of subtle things about the game that just make it so good, and so it's almost
Mhm.
impossible to recreate that and still kind of
It
hold that that what made the original game
it's
good. So I get it.
yeah, it's not even like you said it's almost like it's impossible. No, it's like literally impossible. They don't have the original game
Yeah,
source code
yeah,
anymore. The Halo 2 anniversary was a Halo 4 mod. Like that's really what it was. Everything from the Halo 2 anniversary was just Halo 4 remodeled.
it's interesting.
And yeah, it was pretty tough. And then they did Halo CE anniversary, and that was just a graphics update. That's all that was. And that's really what they should have done with Halo 2, but the problem is they don't have the original copy of Halo 2.
Yeah,
They don't have access to it.
Hmm.
The
It's
theory
tough.
is that I remember reading on the Bungie archives, they said something about like they think that the Halo 2 source code got overwritten by the Halo 3 source code. So
That's
they
wild.
don't have, yeah. Like you gotta remember, it's like Bungie was a ragtag team
Yeah,
that grew exponentially, like almost overnight after the success of Halo 2.
yeah, so it'd be quick.
And they built that game in like a year and a half, I think.
Yeah, which is
It,
unheard of nowadays.
insane. Like Halo 1 was a year. No, Halo 1 was 9 months because they had to scrap everything. It was supposed to come out on the Mac and then Xbox bought them and it came out on supposed to go on the PC and then they made it for the Xbox. And then Halo 2 was 18 months and then Halo 3 was 36 months. It's
Gosh.
you can look up the documentaries and the
Yeah.
stuff that they were doing, they were like, you can't do this anymore. People were like sleeping underneath their desks to get deadlines done. It was crazy.
Oh man, yeah,
But
it's frowned upon now.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you need more work-life balance, but I think going back to Silent Hill 2 remake, hopefully, I mean, I was as you were talking about your experience and what you might think, I was watching the trailer. It doesn't look terrible. It looks all right.
Yeah, it's
I mean, yeah, like you were
mm,
saying, it looks wonky because of course it does. It's a remake of an old game.
yeah,
It's gonna look kind of wonky, but I don't know. I hopefully it captivates the old audience and maybe inspires people to get back into horror games because I feel like they've sort of fallen off
yeah.
the last few years
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe I need to look
outside
more
of Resident
into.
Evil.
I'd be curious to look more into like what these like what the more hardcore fans are upset about. Because I think for
Yeah.
me too, like more recently too, when I was talking about Starfield, like I love Starfield for the most part, but like after like kind of seeing a lot of the critiques and hearing a lot of the criticism, I can see where a lot of people are coming from, and like even my opinion like shifted a little bit, especially towards late game Starfield, and I
Mhm.
can see why people may be a little frustrated. So
Oh,
like my
yeah.
opinion of Starfield's kind of changed like that. I try like ever since then, I'm trying to be more open minded about like how people kind of perceive certain things about video games and kind of just growing my knowledge into
Yeah.
like what makes games good and like what and like what makes these games not do as well as people would hope for. So it's
Yeah, I
interesting
mean,
stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna I think look more into kind of the Silent Hill 2 stuff, the commentary around it, and see what people are saying.
yeah, I think when you use the term like what makes a game good, I think there's objectively good games and there's objectively bad games, right?
Yeah.
It's like an objectively good game is Elden Ring. An objectively bad game is whatever the heck Gollum was.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
those are very obvious, but that like
Right.
middle ground, you just need to figure out what you like, man. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. It's like I think Sims is a phenomenal game, but not everybody is going to be into the Sims,
Yeah.
and that's okay. It's like
Yeah.
there's some people that rather play Magic the Gathering their entire life going forward and not have to worry about any other game in existence,
Yeah.
you know?
It's true. Yeah. It's
So it's just a matter of
interesting.
what do you think is good? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, and like to your point, it's like the 7, 8 out of 10s, right? Like you talk about a 7 out of 10
yeah,
game. It's not a bad game. It's just not a
no,
masterpiece, and it's going to
yeah,
apply to a specific audience. And like 7 out of 10, it could be 9 or 10 out of 10 for some people. It could be 3 out of 10 for other
absolutely,
people. Like it's very,
absolutely,
that's the reason it's like average 7 out of 10, right? Like it's
yeah.
very much like kind of middle of the pack.
And then there's the other added situation with just people like you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So if you haven't experienced a whole lot of shooter games, you might not know that like Call of Duty is a very casual shooter, even at the competitive level,
Yeah.
because you've never played Counter-Strike at the top level,
Yeah.
you know? It's just it's like if you never played a vast variety of games, then you're you're very, like, subjective towards what you like, I think,
Yeah.
and you gotta be open-minded at the same time. It's such a balancing act when it comes to reviews, is
Yeah.
really what I'm getting at.
Yeah. That's the thing too. Yeah, and like one more thing before we move on. When it comes to reviews, everyone listening, you always have to remember when a website's doing a review, they are, and this is for better or for worse. They're going to give
Yeah.
the game, depending on the game, like what genre and what type of game it is. They're going to give it to a specific person to review that enjoys that type of genre. And
Yes.
so it kind of makes it worse if they give it like a 3 out of 10 and it's like, oh, but the guy that reviewed it loves these kind of games. It's like, what does that tell you? Like, it's probably not a good game.
No.
Or if they give it to someone, like you're saying, someone that loves shooters and they give it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, it's like, oh, okay, that might be worth checking out. Because this person
Yeah,
knows what they're talking about.
100%.
So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. Like they're not going to give they're not going to give an RTS to someone that is a huge fan of like puzzle games and be like, hey, we need
No.
you to review this game. Like no, it's just not going to make sense. So yeah,
No,
it sounds
I think
commonsensical, but that's how it is.
yeah, I think, Video Game Donkey did a phenomenal job talking about game critics and the different magazines and, like, articles or websites that you can go to and actually get opinions or reviews of games, and what you're talking about is very true. But I think what's most important is to find a reviewer that has similar interests to you.
Yeah,
So if you can
exactly.
find all their past video games that you've both played, and then you can kind of get an understanding of where they rank the game that you played, and you can compare it. Like if you and I are playing, you're way more into the single player games than I am,
Yeah,
and like mystery solving, like Alan Wake we talked about at the beginning of the show. You're big into that kind of stuff. I get kind of bored easily with that,
yeah,
and it's not that I'm bored with the story itself, it's just I'm bored with playing.
yeah,
I'd rather watch people play it than actually play it
yeah,
myself, if that makes sense. But
yeah.
that's
No,
just
I
how
get
I
it.
am.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna come to you and try to ask you what your thoughts are on the I don't know, the newest racing game because I don't know
yeah,
you to
because
play
yeah,
racing games,
nah,
you know?
yeah,
So it's like it's that kind of thing. You gotta understand where the review is coming from and if that person has similar interests to you.
yeah.
Otherwise, the
It's
review's
exactly it.
worthless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's no
it's just a number.
value to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I said, for me, like on YouTube, a person that I always watch is like I mean, I still watch him every now and again. I haven't seen much of his videos recently, but whenever Skill Up would review a game, like he's a
Yeah.
YouTuber that like I really value his opinion because he's been doing it
Ex
for a long time, but he also has
Agreed.
very articulate and thought out explanations for why he likes or dislikes something the way he does. So
Yeah.
it's like he comes at it from a very objective point of view. So like someone like that I think is good. Even someone like I was thinking about Angry Joe. Like I used to watch a lot of his stuff back in the day. I don't watch his stuff
Yeah.
as much anymore. I haven't really watched much of his content recently, but he still gives like he still gives like pretty good, I think, like opinions and reviews on
Oh, yeah.
certain games. And I mean and I was talking about Skill Up earlier. I didn't agree with his review on Last of Us 2. I'm pretty sure he said he didn't recommend it, but I was like, how can you not recommend this game? I feel like it's, if you like story games, this is like sure, the story isn't what everyone was expecting, but it's still like you can't deny just how technically sound that game is, for especially with the time it released. It's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of things about it that are good, but yeah. So I mean, I won't agree with everything people, and
Yeah,
I think it's important not to agree with every review you see, but
oh, for sure.
it's like,
But I think the point I'm trying to get across is after finding out that he doesn't like Last of Us 2 where you do, now you have a better concept of where he's coming from with his
yeah,
future reviews.
right, yeah,
It's not like to be like, "Oh, he's an idiot. He didn't do a good rating for Last of Us 2." It's no like
yeah,
he just didn't like that game, so let's see what else he likes, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think it's a interesting thing. So yeah, I just
Yeah,
like
I
you were
think
saying,
another
pick the reviews you like, and you find value in, and
100%.
you'll be all right.
Yeah. Side note before I move you on to State of Play to
Yeah.
finish off the episode, my go-to when it comes to shooters is Jack Frags.
Oh
Hands
yeah,
down.
yeah. There you go.
I just love tuning in, watching this dude absolutely bot people, and he talks about the game, gives the update, and he like
Yeah,
says what they're planning to do in the future. He's like his videos are pretty insightful, and it just seems like he's having a good time, and
yeah.
that matters to me a lot when I'm listening to a reviewer.
Yeah, I mean, one of the OG gaming YouTubers that I still went back to recently for even Hellblade, Cinema Saga, like the recent game, when I was looking for like some gameplay just to see, I was actually checking to see if the black bars were for everybody, and so I went to his gameplay. But like he's literally just the classic standard let's play gameplay commentary where it's just straight gameplay, nothing else on the screen, and he's just talking.
Yeah.
And so, but like he always like he's someone I'll go to if I just want to see, okay, what does this game look like for him, or what is kind of his initial thoughts or anything like that. He's another person. He just plays the game and says what he thinks, and so it's another good one. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there.
Yes, sir. Well, how about we jump right into the State of Play? I
Yeah,
unfortunately didn't get a chance to watch this, and I'm so
yeah.
busy I didn't even think to look it up. I wish I had I need to start setting calendar updates to my phone, just like, hey, and then send like the push notification invites.
No,
So glad you're going to be dealing with the State of Play here to
yeah.
give us the breakdown of
Well,
what happened.
This thing, I won't go through everything. There's a lot of stuff in there that's like the VR titles look pretty interesting, but there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of just not personally up my alley. And we'll kind of talk about the main things. At least like a fourth of this was Concord, which is their first game we'll talk about. I also want to mention this guy's name, Assad Kizelbash. That's a name, dude. That is a name, like, you know what I'm saying? Especially that last name.
I like it.
Head of products, PlayStation Studios. Anyway, but yeah, so he kind of introduces Concord, which it's really interesting for me. Like I think that so it is I think it's like a 5-player multiplayer hero shooter. So immediately when you hear that, you're probably like, oh, Overwatch. I mean, pretty much. It's like there's I'm sure there's maybe things that are done a little bit differently, but for the most part, it's going to be like kind of your Overwatch hero shooter, that kind of style. I don't even know if there's any gameplay in this, but they kind of set up the world and kind of it's. You see this, like I thought Guardians of the Galaxy when I see these weird kind of characters and they're all kind of goofy and they have like quippy lines and it screams like Guardians of the Galaxy for me. But yeah, that's the idea of this. It's actually set to come out in a few months from now. I think it's like August. It's set to come out. So it's like pretty soon. And this kind of something coming out from PlayStation that's soon. But I don't know. For me, for the most part, like I see this. And I'm not like super like excited to jump in personally. Like I don't think it's and also I don't know if I don't think it's free to play. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like probably a $50 entry point or something like that. So it's like like I'm really not as inclined to check it out, especially if it's not free to play. If it's a hero shooter and it's not free to play, it's like I would just play Overwatch. But
Brother,
that's just oh, I love that meme, by the way. It's become a new favorite thing.
so do I.
Brother, listen. I see this game. I'm thinking, brother, like I don't know, man. I don't know, Mike. It's like okay, there was a little gameplay, but see, it's like hero shooter, like yay, dude,
Yeah,
explosions. I don't know. It's I'm just not interested. I don't think. It's just me. It's like
I get it. I mean, it it's hard to really say because we don't have enough information on it for us to really give a good judgment call. I am very much tired of the same repetitive stuff, really.
yeah.
But who knows? This could be incredibly balanced, a ton of fun mechanically,
Mhm.
and it could have like a really good like growth system to rank up your character, some type of cosmetic based system where you grind and just keep unlocking stuff over and over again. And
It's
who
true.
knows? I think we need a new esport like in
Yeah, I
gaming.
mean, yeah, it's true.
I,
Um,
I think we need it. So hopefully this could be on that track, but who knows? We'll have to see.
and dude, you want to be a giant robot, Mike, or do you want to be a sniper, dude? What do you want to be, dude? What's your character? Who's your go-to?
Sniper probably.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Backline,
I
bat.
think. Yeah, leave me in the back, and I'll start zapping people across the map.
No.
So this one's coming out on Windows as well, huh?
I
Is that
believe
right?
so. Yeah, it's look. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna be bad by any means, because I mean,
Oh,
decent amount of characters.
he said it's gonna be bad.
I mean, look, decent amount of characters. I think there was some. I think there was also some like jokes and controversy because the robot or whatever. Yeah, so they have pronouns for the heroes, and the robot I think had he. I don't know, it was he him or I don't know. There's people that, like talking about like why does a robot have pronouns? That was like a joke going around. I don't know. I won't comment on that, but I will say it's I mean there's a decent amount of characters to choose from. It's going to be it's August 23rd. It's probably not going to be free. May need a PlayStation account to hook up to it. I know some people feel about
Oh,
that. This is the
brother.
thing. This is the thing. This is the thing, Mike. All these games that are PS5, PC, coming out on both platforms, they're all requiring PlayStation accounts. Want to know what also requires a PlayStation account? The next game they talked about, which was God of War
Oh
Ragnarok
yeah.
coming to PC. Like it's like, brother. I don't know, dude.
You know, just when I said, remember when I said this when PlayStation announced that they're going to bring everything over to PC, and I said that they're late to the game, especially with cloud gaming, and Xbox is too far ahead now. So what they do, it's like, okay, we're going to try to catch up. Let's let's just like, what's the meme where like the cartoon he's biking and then he grabs a stick and puts it in his spokes, his own spokes to flip himself over. That's what
Yeah,
PlayStation is doing, man. It's like you're trying to catch up to Xbox and their cloud gaming and everything being on Game Pass, and then you're requiring people to have and pay for a PlayStation account. It's like, bro, brother,
brother.
it's like you
See, it's
move that
not
to
even.
PC, I will find it illegally. I can.
I
Like I don't
will.
have to
I
do
will
this.
pirate ARG.
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah. If you set up enough obstacles, that's what's gonna happen. But hear me out. If you release it for like 40, $50, I'll probably buy it on Steam and I'll
Yeah.
move on with my life, you
Yeah.
know?
I
And
mean,
you still get paid.
yeah, it's funny. There was I was actually like seeing like clips and stuff of the articles that like I think like Gabe Newell posted about it. Like piracy's not a problem with. I think he said like piracy's not a problem with price, but with service kind of thing. So like if the service is
Yeah.
trashed, then like people are gonna be more inclined to just go on the deep blue sea and try and find your game.
I think most people at this point in time will be okay with the majority of good single player games, emphasis on good, if they're $60 or less.
Yeah,
I think that's perfectly acceptable. But if you make it like really challenging to play your game, it's like I'm not gonna pay it. That's just how it's gonna
yeah,
go.
yeah,
I'll find other ways. I'll go ask my friends login, or
yeah.
like to make it work.
Yeah. Look, dude, God of War Ragnarok. Still haven't played it, and I want to play it. Maybe this is the opportunity, Mike. Maybe this is it for me. September 19th
Maybe.
comes out. See, this is the thing too, though. It's like the thing about the PlayStation account thing. It's not even so much like there's obviously no price behind it. Like you can create a free PlayStation account, sure. But a lot of the things that happened with, and the reason people were like so mad about it on Helldivers and like these other games is that it's just like PlayStation accounts are only there's a lot of regions that still you can't have a PlayStation account in because it's just not set up in
Right.
the region yet. So it's like there's you
Yep.
alienate a lot of people.
A
Because
lot of
you're
people
just
don't know that either.
yeah,
That's
it's
the
like
thing.
And so that's the main issue with it. It's just like, there's no online service. Like, why am I signing into a PlayStation account on a single player game? Like, why? But
Clown activity.
it's
Just absolute clown activity.
it's not great, dude. Listen,
I blame EA. This all happened with EA 15, 20 years ago when they created their own EA servers and you had to create your own EA account to log in. Remember they had freaking 3 different game launchers at once on the PC? It's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous.
Anyways, are you going to play
I don't know
Dynasty Warriors?
Look, I don't know this game.
No, this is Infinity Nikki.
Yeah, I don't know this game. He
is.
plays a cat. I think it's a cat. There you go.
Infinity? I'm mixing it up.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. Infinity Nikki
it is.
plays a cat. He
Yeah, but
plays
you
an
also
anime
turn
chick.
it like Princess Peach, kind of.
Yeah, it's like it's an anime game. Like, what could we say? You know.
Hey, more and more games are coming out for everybody. Unfortunately, that game is not for me.
Yeah,
This next one, though, I'm interested in. It just looks
like
cool.
Like a
Ballad of
Shogun,
Antara.
Yeah, dude. It's a samurai game. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't even know.
I don't know if I watched this part. So
it just looks gorgeous.
Yeah, combat looks sick.
Yeah, it's probably another one of those Dark Soul games that everybody talks about.
Souls likes these Souls likes, Mike.
Yeah,
works all over the place.
Dude.
You make Elden Ring and you prove that it's still a good formula, and then everyone else comes out of the woodwork.
Dude, that's what's annoying. I think more than anything, just it happens in TV shows, movies, music. Anytime somebody innovates and it pops off, everybody else does it for the next like 2 or 3 years.
Dark Souls is good. Everyone's carping Dark Souls. Bloodborne's good.
Yep.
It's never getting released on anything but PS4, and everyone's still mad about it.
100%.
It's wild out here. Won't be a knight in VR? Play this game. Or a proper medieval warrior with a dagger and a giant.
Is this
giant? This is Skydance's Behemoth.
Okay, yeah, I clicked on the wrong one. I'm trying to keep up with you on my separate monitor. Yeah, I've seen this one actually before.
Yeah.
A lot of these different VR games are pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think these are really cool. They go viral on TikTok and YouTube Shorts all the time.
Yeah.
People just going ham.
Yeah, dude, the funniest one is that VR game with like the skull, and it's like the talking skull. I've seen so many clips of that on TikTok, but it's funny. Like, that game is hilarious. I laugh every time I see him. It's like, don't you dare put me in the pot. He's like about to like dunk him in the cauldron. Oh, so good. Oh man, that's good stuff. Alien Rogue Incursion. You want a VR Alien game, Mike?
Yeah, actually.
There you go.
Actually, dude. I do. I love the Alien
creepy,
franchise so much.
It's pretty creepy. All that. Yeah, like Isolation was so good. A VR version of something like that could go crazy.
Yes, sir. I think I would like to play it. I just don't have a VR setup.
Yeah,
that's not in the cards for me, at least for another year or two.
Especially not PlayStation VR. Like, kind of all this. I don't know. Oh, Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, basically Overwatch with Marvel characters.
Yeah, at first it kind of looked like a mobile game. Like, is this on mobile at some point? Like, I don't know. It's Marvel Fighters. There you go. Play Spider-Man.
I think it looks pretty cool,
pretty
but
sick.
I mean, it reminds me so much of Overwatch that I'm just not interested.
It is, yeah, it is very much Overwatchy. That's what I'm saying, dude. Concord, this. A lot of Overwatch stuff, Mike. Good formula. Again, get a good formula, Mike. Start pumping them out. Just ding, 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 ding. It's crazy. Oh, man. Where winds
this
meet?
game.
Oh.
Dude. We saw the trailer for this maybe 9 months ago. Sometime there's a state of play, I think, in November, and they showed this off.
Oh, beautiful set
and
pieces.
ever since it's been looking good. The cinematic that they had looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Souls-like game, of course, but it's like Imperial Japan. It reminds me of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with some of the moves that they're doing with the bamboo, in the forest. It looks cool. You'll see what I'm talking about in like a few seconds here. Yeah, this scene.
Oh shoot!
Look at that. You ever watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
I've not.
Bro, do you even watch martial arts movies? Come on, dude.
I mean, not really. I'll be honest. I saw Fight Club. That's probably the closest thing I saw.
That's not martial arts, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the joke.
This guy, I can't. I just simply can't.
Remember Until Dawn? Well, guess what? It's coming to PS5 and PC, I think. I don't know. Do you remember Until Dawn, Mike? This game came out on PS4. like almost a decade ago now. It was a while ago.
I won't lie to you. I have heard of the title and the name, but I've
Um,
never seen gameplay that I can
it
remember
is,
at
yeah,
least.
it is
Maybe I
a
have, but
it is a narrative focused game where every single choice matters. I know you hear that in a lot of
okay.
games, but this is actually a game where it actually is like every single choice affects the storyline. Um, a
Interesting.
very
So you
good.
can.
This was a game that I watched. I watched Markiplier play this with my roommate in college, and that was how we bonded.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like
No.
kind of, I think it was like fall. It was like our first fall semester having a room together, and we both liked Markiplier, and so we are like, hey, let's watch some Until Dawn because it was interesting and like seeing him play it, it was just
Yeah.
funny and like I don't know. Until Dawn's one of those games. It's really fun to watch. Like I might play it someday, but it's like I've already seen it, so it's like I feel like I don't have a reason to play it because I've already just seen so much of it. But it's a very it's got a huge following. People loved the game on PS4, and so the fact that they're remaking it certainly doesn't surprise me or remastering it for the new systems, and it's coming to PC. There you go.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
game.
All right then.
Very good, nice little narrative to game. Grinding Gear Games. Path of
Yeah. Path of
Exile 2,
Exile.
baby. Coming. The best
Path
part
of,
about this, you get that couch co-op. Like, I feel like this is like the perfect game to just couch co-op. Like, that isometric kind of don't need a split screen. It's got two controllers. You're just going through the universe. There's cross play, cross progression, cross everything coming to this. Good, nice little package for
wonder
a game like
how.
this.
I wonder how the fan base of Path of Exile feels. Are they excited? Are they nervous? Like what's going on? Because the original
Yeah.
game came out in 2013. It had steady updates. People love this franchise, dude. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it.
I mean,
So
graphically, it looks astounding. Looks so good.
it better.
Yeah.
It's new.
Yeah. Cross everything, but couch co-op I think is pretty sick. Especially for a game like this, I could probably sink some hours in if I found another interested party. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Oh yeah.
Crazy out here. Path of Exile 2, early access late 2024. Exciting stuff there. And then what we had talked about, Silent Hill. Yeah, Silent Hill 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they dropped the trailer. A lot of reception, very polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't know what to think.
Yeah.
I, for one,
We're
am waiting for the
in the
reviews.
wait
You know
and
what
see
I'm saying?
category.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I am. But yeah, I don't know. Graphically, it looks pretty good. So at least guys that goal for it. But yeah, we just have to. We've already talked about it. I think for the most part, Mike. Yeah, looking interesting. What if
It
I
looks
Pyramid
alright.
Head? I think Pyramid Head's in this one. It's pretty crazy.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, this one, you like Monster Hunter. Hey, a lot of Monster Hunter fans out there. So, and then everyone and their mother was literally just like simping over this girl in the trailer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And like I saw articles talking about like there was so many people simping over this. Like Steam had put like dating sim as one of the categories because like so many people were just going nuts for this chick, and it was like I don't know, it got wild apparently just because
That
everyone
is
was like
nuts.
yo, I like this chick. Like, yeah, so yeah, pretty funny stuff. But yeah, other than that, Monster Hunter, it's another Monster Hunter game, and there's a lot of people that love that Monster Hunter world. So there you go, dude. Be ready. This could go crazy if you're into Monster Hunter.
Yeah. There's not really much to add there, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just
if you like hunt monsters, dude,
are monsters.
There it is, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it is, dude. There it is.
I mean, it looks intense.
Remember Astro Bot? Because I kind of do. I didn't play it, but I do.
From forever ago, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, guess what? It's coming to PS5. So
yes, September. Is it Rescue Mission? September 6th, 2024. I guess.
Yep. Full September game. You're playing against King Kong and a serpent and an ostrich. If no one's actually seen Astro Bot, they're just gonna hear me say that and be like, "What is this game? You're fighting all these giant like animals." But look,
yeah, it's really hard to describe what this game is,
yeah,
just in general.
very hard. Listen,
I like to think of Astro Bot as one of those just old school titles, as the old school like bosses and missions, and I don't know, it's just something not arcadey but classic.
yeah.
Reminds me of the N64 days or PS2 days, or
You're a
you
bot
know.
in the Astro realm. You know? What else is there
Yeah,
to say, Mike? What I'm saying?
it's gonna be a lot of fun for a lot of people. I think this is gonna be a great family game
For
because you
sure.
just have so many different people. They had the Iron Giant briefly in there. They got Genie. It's like there's so much stuff. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Listen, Days of Play is following this presentation. It's ongoing right now. It's from May 29th to June 12th. So yeah, I'm gonna play some games. There's gonna be more announcements over Summer Games Fest. It's gonna be, exciting week, I think. But yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing, Mike. Before we kind of sign off, Summer Games Fest, that main showcase is upcoming. It'll be tonight if you're watching this on Friday. It's pretty crazy to think about. If you're watching this the day we release it. And then
Yeah, that's
Sunday,
true.
Xbox showcase, 1 p.m. Eastern. Um, any bold predictions on your side, Mike, what we could see, what we might see? Because this is the thing. Jeff Keighley has been outspoken about Summer Games Fest kind of expectations. A couple of points I saw, there's not going to be a pretty much everything in the showcase. He's saying there's not going to be any titles that are going to be announced or anything that's like long in the future, like no 2026, 2027 stuff. Most of the stuff they'll be
Good.
talking about is going to be relatively soon in the next, year, year and a half. So there's that. There's not going to be a huge one more thing, anything like that in this. Like, so they didn't want people expecting like some huge announcement. So they're taming expectations. I think they said it was going to be, I say it was a little under 2 hours, something like that, maybe a little bit less. It's not going to be
Okay.
anything groundbreaking or nuts or anything like that. I
Hmm.
It makes me hard to think of what they'll show at the Summer Games Fest showcase. Like at the Xbox showcase, I'm sure we're going to see some Gears of War stuff. There's been talks about a Gears of War kind of
For a
remake or
while
something like
now.
that for a while. So I'm sure we'll see some of that. I'm sure we'll see probably some more Indiana Jones stuff. Hopefully some Avowed stuff. I want to see kind of updates on Avowed.
Yeah,
Kind
both of
of
those I think are guarantees. I
yeah,
think that's absolutely
yeah.
gonna happen.
Like I think it just makes sense. See more of that kind of stuff. The Summer Games Fest one's a little bit harder for me. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of just maybe updates to existing games. Kind of some outstanding stuff coming in the next year that that we may have forgotten about that was talked about previously, and now it's kind of just a reminder kind of show. I feel like for a lot of that
Oh,
stuff.
it's definitely gonna be there's definitely gonna be some reminders. I think we're gonna get news on the next not Gears of War, the next Call of Duty.
Yeah,
The situation with whether or not Call of Duty is gonna be Game Pass or not,
yeah,
which is gonna matter in terms of Sony PlayStation.
yeah.
I think that's a guarantee. I think there's gonna be maybe 1 or 2 brief teasers for any Activision Blizzard game after Xbox announced their purchase of it. Then I wanna make a bold prediction and say we're gonna have a same day release of a game unannounced.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
I
That's
think
a good
that's
prediction.
gonna happen.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll happen. Um, yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, Call of Duty obviously there's gonna be more info on that. Gotten a few trailers beforehand, kind of teasing it, and which have been actually like pretty good trailers for the most part. I think of like setting up the scene and kind of just like it seems very Black Ops like. So see what they end up cooking on that aspect. But I think for the most part, it's gonna be like I'm not super hyped up about the Summer Games Fest stuff. I'm of course still gonna watch it and still kind of see see what they do talk about it. It's always fun to just see kind of upcoming games in some capacity. I'm always gonna enjoy those showcases. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be checking that out. Xbox One, I'm definitely more excited to see just to see kind of how a lot of the upcoming titles are and how they sort of are responding to the blowback of the last month and a half of closing studios and resizing and all that. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they handle that. And I think this presentation will be indicative of how the near future at least will be. So
Yeah,
excited
I
to see
think
some
that's
of that
fair.
for sure. But yeah, we'll see. It's hard for me to predict about like things we might see at the Summer Games Fest stuff. If I really like sat and thought about it for a while, I probably could, be like, oh yeah, there's this and that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to see some games.
Yeah, I think that's the right mindset to have. And I will absolutely have it in the calendar this time with push notifications to let me know, hey, it's live. tune in. So I'll definitely be way more prepared. Do we want to sit down at some point and do a react video to it, or just?
Yeah.
Hmm,
I mean, we certainly can.
we,
It's all about your schedule, really. And
yeah, it's true.
we'll have to
I got a
discuss
lot
that
of
and
crap going on, unfortunately.
see what you're up to. But yeah, I'm always down.
Okay, well, I think we'll just leave it at that for now, and just wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess now is a good time to just wrap up. We kind of went for like an hour and 25 minutes now, so I
Cool.
wasn't exactly. I thought we were making good time until we got to Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay though. But the same thing that we always do. If you made it this far, we absolutely appreciate you for listening and subscribing, following, all that kind of thing. But if you want to check out the articles yourself as the listener, check the description of wherever you're listening or watching. We have links there that will take you to the articles where you can show appreciation to the people that wrote them. And yeah, I guess that's really it. There's also social media links down there and Discord, all the other stuff. The Discord's been kind of dead lately. We only really use it for voice chat.
Yeah,
After
pretty much.
after the Canes lost, it was like, ugh. Ugh.
It's just brother, I don't want to talking, brother.
Yes, sir. But hey, man, we started recording early today and I haven't eaten dinner. So let's let the people go. Let's get some food in our bellies, watch some sports later tonight, and chill. Work for you, Kyle?
Works
Got
for
anything to
me.
add, or should I just close it out?
Nah, dude, check out some video games this weekend. There's presentations. It only happens once a year. Might as well watch.
That's true.
You know,
That's
might
very
as well
true.
embrace it, even though it may not
Get
be the
inspired because
hypest.
they
All
usually do
right.
the they usually do the indie segment every now and then too. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can get
There's good.
inspired by
I mean,
new indie games.
you can expect some indies, especially the Summer Games Fest thing, without a
Mhm.
doubt. So yeah, exciting stuff.
100%. Wait, they usually do like an indie showcase before or after. I can't remember which one, but they always
Yeah,
have something for the indies.
we'll probably see some,
Yeah.
advertisements for Samsung TVs and Xbox and I don't
A
know.
Toshiba or like
Yeah.
a Sony.
I mean,
Okay, that was insane,
Jeff,
actually.
he's got to pay for these showcases, so
That's a
seen some,
fact. Well,
we've seen some
we need
ads.
that Sony one though, dude.
Yeah, dude,
Please,
Sony TV.
Sony
Dude, where
TV
is it, dude?
with the PS5 inside of it, bro.
I mean,
That's
look,
all we need.
PS5 Pro is on the way. Be a perfect
Nice.
time to add a PS5 to a television.
It would be absolutely phenomenal, dude. All right. Let's let the people go. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. And we want you to keep gaming. Have a good time. And we'll see you next week for the Summer Games Fest recap. So
Keep gaming. Watch Summer Games Fest.
keep aiming. See you later.